Hi everyone, thanks for coming today. This is Mr. Kyle Stein, and he's going to talk to us about the need for real-world superheroes. Kyle.
Batman, Superman, Captain America. These are all examples of superheroes that were bred from imagination in order to symbolize real-world qualities that make people leaders and makes them successful. But you only find them in fiction. You only find them in comic books that you get at your library. So the question can arise, can they exist? My answer is simple, yes. But in simplicity, there's always complexity. I'm not talking about the superheroes that you find in comic books, the ones that can lift cars above their heads and fly around the world so fast that they turn back time. No, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. And I'm talking about you. I'm talking about all of us. I'm talking about the real world superheroes that are down to earth and how we need to be the next superheroes for humanity. So, why do we need superheroes? And for that, I'm going to tell you a little about myself. I'm about 16 and a half now, and I'm a teenager who struggles with depression. And what depression is, it's kind of for example, it's like falling down a well every time you hit a problem. And every time you try to jump out of that well, the floor gets deeper and deeper every time you try and jump. And sometime you just get so far down that there's no point in wanting to jump up anymore because you know you're just going to keep falling and falling and falling. And so that's why we need superheroes, because there's a lot of people on the outside of that well. There's a lot of people walking by and looking down and seeing that person who's so far down the well, and he's crying out for help. But not a lot of people do anything about that. That's why we need to be the superhero. They're the people who reach out a hand to them and grab them up, put them on their feet, and get them going again, and tell them that it's all right. Because that's all the difference. That makes all the difference to that person. And to be a superhero for others, that's one thing. But to be a superhero for yourself, that's a whole other thing. To be a superhero for yourself is to realize that this is all in your head, that well. It wasn't actually falling out beneath you. It was just all in your head. The reason why it kept falling and falling and falling is because you just started to want to give up. And so you need to take away all that hate for yourself, all that self-loathing and sadness, and take off the mask that you put on every day. And once you pull that away, you realize that Superman wasn't out there. He was in here. That's why he never came to save you, because he was all in there all along. And once you realize that, you can pick yourself out of the well. And that's important as well. Not just being able to help somebody, but to help yourself. And once you get out of that well, that's when it's your turn to be a superhero to everyone else, because there's a lot of people that fall into that well. There's a lot of people that have problems. And that's when you need to give them a hand and pull them out. Now, to be a superhero, it's very easy to die for something, in my opinion, because if there was a fire that broke out, there would be no problem. I would put my life way under everyone's, and I would make sure that each and every single one of you would make it out, even if that meant that I would die, because that's just what I do. I'm the oldest brother, and I've always been raised to protect, even if it doesn't mean that I'm going to make it out. But to be a superhero, you can't just be willing to die for something. You have to be willing to live for something. You have to spend each and every day making it so that others can make it as well. An example of that is Miss Habig. Now, there's not much I know about Miss Habig since the about 180 days that I've known her. But there are a few things that I've known. Is that, first of all, she loves her Purdue Boilermakers. She loves her Mexican food. And third, and most importantly, she cares a lot about her kids. And she's a teacher that we need, a real superhero, because she spends day in and day out thinking, what can I do to improve the students? How can I make it so they actually learn something than just, oh, it's a crucible, it's about old people. No, she wants to actually give you real-world examples, like things are not always going to be fun, but you need to power through that, and you need to keep doing and keep going, even when times are hard and even when you don't care, because somebody else does, and Miss Habig cares. And so this speech I gave today, it wasn't just me standing up here talking to you and telling you what I believe you should do and telling you my story. No, this is a call to act. This is a call to stop waiting on Superman and forgetting about Clark Kent. Because Clark Kent was that nobody who wanted to be somebody. He was the unordinary person that wanted to be extraordinary. That's you and us. That's you and me. That's all of us. We need to stop waiting on Superman and not forget about Clark Kent, because in the end, that's who we are. And the world that we save when we become that Superman doesn't have to be the entire world. Statistically, that's not going to happen. But saving a person, just one person, saves their world. And that's a whole bigger world than the one that we live in. Just like my friend said, being genuinely nice can literally be life or death to someone. And that, from experience, I can tell is what it is. I can tell you that literally somebody coming up and asking me how my day was would make my day and keep me going. So when the time comes, and when you see somebody who's in that well, and you hear the call to action, whether it be from somebody else in the well or inside yourself, be that next superhero. Be the next Iron Man, the next Batman, the next Superman. Because if you do an action, no matter how small, for the good of another, it can change the world. And it won't be easy, but nothing ever worth doing is ever easy.